Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Now, today we are you all are welcome for this 40th Energy Management Forum of SLEMA. I think now we have a good momentum in this Energy Management Forum, especially due to this virtual platform. Many of us members can join it and have the fruits out of it. So that is especially in that context, special thanks should go to the immediate past president, Mr. Harsha Wickramasinghe, who managed to introduce this and put it to a good momentum. So of course, we are happy to have today as the presenter and welcome, Mr. We have another specialty in his presentation, because we generally speak of basically technical things directly, but today he is going to go a little bit further and discuss the philosophical aspect of this, where the society, how the society can benefit in overall sense through this technological aspect. So I think it will be more important as a professional body for us, because our country, how our contribution should go to the society will be encompassed in that. So I'm happy to have it, and he has named it boarding to a flight. So my friend Rasika from Air Lanka will explain whether we are going to board an actual flight, and Mr. Harsha Wickramasinghe will tell all about that, how we are going to take this actual flight, or how he has philosophically mentioned how we are going to do that. So I would like to hand over to Rasika to continue. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Shamila. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Rasika, Seminar Secretary. Dear colleagues, you all are welcome to the 40th Energy Management Forum of Sri Lanka Energy Managers Association. Today, we'll be discussing DT4ET, Next Flight to Prosperity, Now Boarding. Even I am in Sri Lankan Airlines, the content is not known even to me. Our presenter made this close purposely in order to give all of you surprise. Today, our presenter is none other than our immediate past president, Mr. Harsha Wickramasinghe, product of University of Moratuwa, specialized in mechanical engineering, chartered engineer in profession, MBA holder from University of Colombo, currently holding Deputy Director General, Sri Lanka Sustainable Energy Authority. Presentation will be 40 minutes, followed by 20 minutes Q&A session, but today presentation might drag a little longer. Please bear with us. You can raise any clarifications, questions related to the topic through chat or Q&A. Will be taken up during the Q&A session. Dear Harsha, over to you to conduct the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Shamila, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's my great privilege to be here with you. And my topic today is DT4ET. So I will keep that for the tail end of my session to discuss more about these things. But initially, I would like to apologize you for taking a bit too long than the usual presentation format of 40 minutes plus 20 minutes Q&A. This will take a little bit because I'm discussing also a case study related to some other country. So let me take you through this flight. I hope this will not be a flight of fantasy, but it's a very real flight. Let us start. So just to arouse curiosity among you, this mango seller from Fort, I befriended a similar person. This is not exactly the same person. when I was traveling to faraway places very early in the morning, in my early career days, I befriended a mango seller, and I understood what kind of difficult life they are having in this country. So my presentation is about how we can change the situation to make their lot better, much better than what they are getting today. So we have a great opportunity. Let me explain what this opportunity is about. So that's, there are some participants who are here who are not from our energy sector. So just let me set some background here about the energy and the civilization. Firstly, the known history of mankind, the power meant men, animals, trade winds, that kind of very primary level energy resources were used to do certain things, and assimilation of power meant having so many men under your command, not necessarily willing participants, but even slaves. So we have a very dark chapter of the human history, the slavery. Slavery meant the power for certain countries at the time. So that was the beginning of the amassing power, where the more you had men, the more powerful you became. Then more recent history, it's changed with the Industrial Revolution. So Industrial Revolution, coal, steam and technology meant you have power. That is how the United Kingdom or England became such a commendable source of power. I mean, political power in the whole world, because they amassed the technology, the coal resources, and they were able to get rid of the need to have more men under your command. And so these were the times when steam engine and the coal mining took a deep root in the industrial systems in the all over the world. Then presently, it is the power means, I'm not referring to the electrical power here, but power, the political power and the economic power of any nation. It means oil, mobility, and low-cost, reliable grid electricity. So if you have everything in this place, you are taken as an economic powerhouse or a very powerful nation. So we are reeling under tremendous pressure these days because we don't have any of these, and we have a balance of payment issue in the country at the moment. And it was from 1950s, about a century of existence, the fuel pumps, large-scale coal power plants. These were the hallmarks of economic power and national power of any nation. And when we foresee the future, the next revolution, in my opinion, this is my humble opinion, we can have so many different ideas about this thing. My proposal is power in future will be electricity wherever, whenever. So if it is grid electricity, stored electricity, renewable electricity, whatever it is, if you have access to it reliably and continuously without any problem, then those economies will become the powerhouses of tomorrow. So with that background, we will there are some technical things I would like to discuss here. There had been a serious battle between Thomas Alva Edison and Nikola Tesla, those bygone days, to have either DC electricity in the world or AC electricity. So AC was promoted by Tesla and DC electricity by Edison. So they had a lot of argument, a lot of press coverage, and finally, as we all know, the present-day architecture of electricity grids, Tesla won. The alternating current won. But Edison's DC system incurred heavy losses, and it was safer for people. And but it had a severe flow. It couldn't go much beyond the generation location. So a tiny power plant per each home. If it was possible, Thomas Alva Edison, being the crafty human being he was, could have won this battle. But Nikola Tesla's system can have large central power plants and electricity distributions countrywide all over the place. Then you have the present architecture of the system. So the AC system offered by Nikola Tesla offered a transformability from a low voltage to high voltage and vice versa. So as a result, the present day, everything was the electricity that we know. We came to the present architecture because it offered this transformability, central large power plants and a large number of small consumers. So many voltage levels across transmission, distribution, and uniform delivery conditions. But whether this is still the same, I have a question, because we are coming to an era where even Edison's mode of electricity supply is becoming profitable and affordable. So just a picture of the traditional power grid, large scale coal power or whatever, hydropower generator, transmission network, distribution network, and you have the home. And to get 2 units of light energy, you have to incur 100 units of energy expenditure. So that is how we have come to this place. So let us see what the future holds for us. So this is our country's national energy supply evolution, the primary energy supply. As you can see, we have a very good, strong base of biomass supply, even though people ridicule the Aralipa or the fuel wood heart these days, citing the exorbitant gas prices. I think our economy is still in place because of the humble fuel wood stove. If not for the large number of people who are cooking with biomass energy, we would have become a very different country by now. But we have a very large fossil fuel evolution. With the evolution, there's a very large fossil fuel share, as you can see here, 46% of our primary energy supply, as opposed to 36 biomass and other renewable energy resources in the country. So this is changing the energy landscape of our country very rapidly. And we have thought about what kind of a country Sri Lanka will become in the distant 2050. We think just setting aside the present economic gloom over the country, we will become a developed country and a stable population of around 18 million people and a very low energy intensity of economy. So we will be developing more economic activity with lesser and lesser amount of energy. Even now, it is the case we are experiencing for the last 20 years, our energy intensity of our economy is going down. And our society integrated by electronic means. So a lot more opportunities like this, the Zoom platform, virtual reality, all that. And transport energy mostly sourced from electricity. We will have electric mobility in the country. And most homes operating off-grid. We will come to that later. The Thomas Alva Edison fashion. And large facilities as energy positive buildings, the large buildings, and biomass from carbon sequestration plantation. And electricity has become the primary energy vector. Now it is petroleum fuels, but in future, I foresee that it will become electricity and hopefully carbon neutral Sri Lanka. So that is our dream for Sri Lanka. And out of that, the blue colored bullet I will take more time to explain. We will have a with energy efficiency measures and other transport demand, we will have about 25,000 megawatts of capacity, approximately 4 to 5 times the present capacity. And almost all homes are powered by off-grid solar rooftop energy storage solutions. We did some recent calculations and found out even for people who are paying in excess of rupees 40, that is the highest higher end consumers, the battery and solar opportunity is more profitable than getting it from the CEBO LECO. So it has already touched the higher end of our domestic consumers, but it's far away from commercial and industrial loads, so you don't have to rush to evaluate the electricity systems or the energy storage systems. But even the domestic consumers, some of them can find off-grid solar ESS solution profitable. And most aspects of the energy industry are taken care of by a smart grid, powered mostly by solar PV, assisted by storage, hydro, and wind. solar will become the mainstay of our country. So that is my dream, because it is there will be no contenders, no competitors for solar if the present trends continue. And agro and municipal waste streams supporting firm power in the country, and pump storage to support the renewable energy fed grid as a massive battery. And transport sector becoming a significant factor in the electricity systems. Unlike now, it will become a significant stakeholder in the electricity system. And the good news is we have a very good resource base in our country in terms of solar and wind. And we have taken a lot of trouble from 1996, distant past, and right up to now, we have developed about 12% of our capacity in new renewable energy. And the beauty of this is nearly 4% of our energy now comes from the rooftop solar, which we have about 410 megawatts of capacity. Approximately 10% of our installed capacity is now coming from our rooftops. It's a phenomenal number for if you compare the global statistics. I think we are third highest energy share and the capacity share in terms of solar rooftops in the world. So it's a matter to celebrate, because it's our organization, Sri Lanka Sustainable Energy Authority, which spearheaded this remarkable transformation. So this yellow band coming up here signifies the solar energy component. So it will keep on increasing in the time to come. And this is a snapshot of what is happening in the country for the people who are not very well versed with the energy sector operations. We have about 1,500 megawatts of gross potential of biomass energy, where 54 megawatts already operational, and under construction 45 megawatts. And small hydro, gross potential 1,126, and operating close to 500, and under construction 112. And solar, there's no gross potential which we can discuss, because it's almost infinity. We have such a large resource of solar energy, and we have about 88 megawatts of ground mounted capacity and 400 megawatts on, actually 410 megawatts, and under construction various stages, about 99 on ground mounted. And wind, we have potential onshore about 5,600 megawatts and a massive offshore capacity, out of which about 250 megawatts fully operational now, and no under construction projects in the wind energy for the moment. And we have a great opportunity in renewable energy ahead. So this is the message for all of you today who are here. So the lowest generation cost indicated in solar and wind, we have realized many bids coming under 6 US cents. So this is a phenomenally low number, much lower than the average generation cost of electricity in our country. And this modular technology giving a very flexible planning opportunity. And that is where the golden opportunity of renewable energy in our country also exists. So I'm coming to that, but just remember this fact. It is the modular technology which is the beauty of these technologies. And legal impediments and local context given rise to a stalemate situation at the moment, but I'm sure these things will get resolved very quickly. And these impediments, when overcame, we will have a rapid renewable energy program for the country. And earlier on, non-conventional renewable energy or solar or wind, that kind of things were always an additional cost to the national utility. Anywhere in the world, it was the situation. But large-scale wind development can attract attention of global players to deliver energy at phenomenally lower values, like 3.5 US cents per kilowatt hour, which is translating to about 6 rupees and 30 cents in local terms, in a national grid where the cost of generation is approximately 3 times this. So you can see the economic opportunity. Earlier it was a burden, now it's an absolute opportunity for us to make use of these resources. And large-scale solar development can also attract attention of the global players, and we can arrive at even lower cost, 4 rupees and 50 cents kind of pricing, if not for the dollar appreciation and the recent problems in the solar supply chains. This number can change, it can actually double, but we are quite certain that we will get prices under 10 rupees. And if these things are done organically with available transmission assets in the short term, and if you have transmission asset builds in the longer term, then you have more and more capacity additions made possible. And when we are dreaming aloud, there are two factors which will be of enormous importance in our country. So these are the two things, ET and DT. So that is the buzzword I wanted to introduce to you. So in your future cocktail discussions and all that, you can always recite these words, ET and DT. These are going to stay for in the vocabulary in the foreseeable future, I'm very sure. So the first one is ET, energy transition. So whether we like it or not, whether Sri Lanka like it or not, whether we have political commitment, utility commitment, whatever it is, large-scale renewable energy capacity additions can deliver many things, and it has become an unstoppable momentum, because there are large-scale fossil fuel investment divestment taking place at the moment, which means people are pulling out money from fossil fuel companies and fossil fuel stocks investments and putting that in renewable energy. So when you don't have capital flowing into the industry, you undergo a decline, or in the extreme case, even death. So there can be many upheavals in the foreseeable future where large-scale energy companies will go bankrupt. Yeah, the precursor to this phenomena is already happening in some European markets, where energy retailing companies they have folded up, meaning they have gone bankrupt, and with very grave consequences for the customers, because there are heavy investments in fossil fuel companies. These energy retailers have become bankrupt, and the oncoming winter appears to be a very serious situation for most of the European people. And the energy transition can mean many things to Sri Lanka. The foreign exchange savings, because it is a one-time investment, and the fuels are freely available in our country, wind and solar. And there's an immense possibility of local value addition, because these are modular technologies, not like the huge gas turbines where exceptional technical capabilities are required, and centuries of engineering tradition is required to set up a gas turbine or a steam turbine. This modular nature of solar and wind technologies mean we can add a lot of value. And this local value addition means we can create employment. So it's a win-win-win situation for our country. And associated with this thing is the digital transformation. So transformation of the traditional grid into a smart grid, and operation of electricity markets. So smart meters, demand response, I will explain it a bit later, and aggregation of distributed generation, distributed storage, and distributed renewable energy assets. So distributed demand response assets. So market aggregation is going to be a very significant business in the coming years, much bigger than the telecom industry. I can visualize it to be in that magnitude. And electricity market, where not only you can choose your energy supplier, but even you can sell your electricity. The electricity you generate on your rooftop can be sold to your neighbor. That kind of electricity markets are available in even some developing countries. So if we have the digital transformation in place, it can definitely help the energy transition. So that is why I made the title of my presentation DT for ET. So these things can create a lot of value in our country. So the drivers of a smart grid, just to give you a brief introduction, it is ICT, information communication technology. So distributed renewables, energy storage, and demand response. These are the pillars of a smart grid, which everything can be integrated with the help of the ICT. So that is opening up new possibilities, new contacts, and new market opportunities for many players to become energy sellers, buyers, and it can be a wonderful place for actual price realization. That is our dream. And the smart grid, I tried several sources and coined this definition. No need to go into great detail. Anyone who's willing, I will share the presentation so you can refer it later. So use of ICT in a great way to modernize the traditional grid. So that is the essence of smart grid. And we have the economic opportunity also lies in this area. So whether we have missed this opportunity, I certainly think we have not yet missed this opportunity, because we have proven beyond any reasonable doubt that we can be a major player in this smart business. These are the electricity meters made by the Sri Lankan company Antileco, a subsidiary of Lanka Electricity Company. So they have made this homegrown solution for metering, even though you may not call it a fully fledged smart meter, but a complicated, sophisticated electronic equipment worthy of the highest global accolade. I just don't remember the name of the authenticating agency, but they have realized the gold standard manufacturing this entirely in this Bandaragama facility. So we have proven that we too can join the smart bandwagon if we are really keen on it. And this revolution taking place, we just can't disregard these things. Emergence of distributed generation and storage, meaning a more Edison-like than Tesla version, large number of smaller power plants, kilowatt range to megawatt range, to dot the landscape of our country. So lot more opportunities for everyone. And electricity generation at user location, internal usage and export to neighbors. And displacement of oil by electricity for transport. So transport, there's going to be a major demand center for electricity, entirely a new market. A growing electric vehicle fleet and an expanding charging network. Dominance of alternating current challenged by the DC microgrids, already happening. And electric generators and users becoming a community with the advent of information communication technology, artificial intelligence, and Internet of Things. So these things can create a new community of equipment, people, where everyone interacts with everyone else to deliver economic value. So the new world will be very beautiful and brave. It will be very planet focused and climate sensitive citizen. Either we have won the climate battle or lost the climate battle. It's too early to say. What is happening in Glasgow, I have lost faith in this COP conference of parties, those conferences, because a lot of talk but lot less deeds. So that is why I view this COP 26, 27 or whatever with great skepticism. But we might win the climate battle if we go smart and do the transformation effectively. And almost everything which require human effort can be automated and will be automated. Driving, automated cars, producing, production, automated production, and even war making with your neighbors. So robotic warfare and all that is going to happen. So these things are not directly relevant to us, but I must paint the new world order for you to dream aloud. Renewables, energy storage, and power electronics sorting out all energy issues in the country and the world. And larger systems giving way to smaller modular systems, volumes of new employment opportunities, or none. Because I touched automation here, we might not need people to produce these things actually. And if there is already that kind of nations thinking about a standard salary for every citizen for not working, because they have almost automated their entire economic activities. So people have nothing to do, but they nevertheless generate wealth. So that kind of a world may be possible. We just don't know. And going individually, the opportunity I'm bringing to your notice, the residential sector, the solar rooftop power plant will be a common asset in almost all the things. There's a raised hand. Just let me check what is this about. Yes, Mr. Ajit Talvis and Tedani, they have raised hands. Any question? from you? Okay, I think it's a mistake, so I will carry on. So solar rooftop power plant will be a standard item along with the energy storage solution for each home. So without grid electricity, we will have electricity. And a DC grid inside, because almost all the appliances we are using even now requires DC electricity. And electric vehicle charging at every home, because the cars will be mostly electric. And induction cooking replacing LP gas. And Internet of Things as new family members. And some or many people may have defected from the electricity grid. So that I think is going to be the future. And active player, uh, uh, artificial intelligence in automated demand response, the distributed generation and distributed storage electricity market. So every electricity user, the present user, will become an active participant in a electricity market. That is what I foresee. So then the commercial sector, if we take the transformation, we'll see most buildings will become energy positive status. So they will generate more electricity than they consume. And smart intelligent building management systems and energy positive solar energy storage systems, and they also are taking part in the market and lower than ever specific energy use because of the efficiency gains. Then this is a nightmare for property developers. The virtual space will expand and demand for real space will be coming down. So the cities might become irrelevant. People will work from home, and you may have realized the recent name change of the Facebook group into Meta. Meta means metaverse, meaning they will replicate all our physical experiences with digital counterpart. So if you feel like going to a movie, you can actually wear a virtual reality goggle and feel that you are seated inside the movie with your people around. When you look around, you can get the real experience with the digital counter digital equivalent. So there will be no need to come to office, so no need to actually visit the city. So that kind of thing can forever change the city centric economic development model we live in. So these things are made possible only because of the digital transformation. In the industrial sector, even though people dream about wiping out all the taxi companies and having Uber and Pick Me, actually you need cars to go here and there. So similarly, if you are to have something, you have to have someone who's producing it. So the factories will not be a thing of the past. So our country, it will be limited to low energy intense industries. The trend is like that: high value, low resource consumption, and sustainable consumption and production, lesser burden on the environment, and they will be grid powered with on-site generation, because they need very large amounts of energy, but assisted by on-site generation. And automated demand response as a key element in market participation and flexible loads, and also they can become hydrogen producers like in Germany. In Germany, it is profitable for people to use a continuous amount of electricity and produce hydrogen when the factory is closed than using a variable amount of electricity. So during the night time, they produce hydrogen, and during the daytime, they operate the factory. Like that, there will be opportunities for people to participate even in the hydrogen making in time to come. And the phenomenal change will take place in the transport sector, large-scale electrification, and hydrogen as a new energy vector. Both rail and road transport systems will become renewable energy focused and derived. And digitalization will be at the core, and we will have a reliable public transport system assisted by fleet of N-node vehicles. So fleet of taxis, electric taxis I'm mentioning here. And the map-based navigation will be using energy-saving routes, and mostly driving will be without a driver. So 30 years down the line, that is going to be the norm. Home charging and public charging networks and onboard metering. Even if you charge at your office, it will be very likely that you will be billed for the vehicle. So vehicles will carry onboard energy metering and public charging. The transaction, all that can be automated. But there is a grave concern for me. All these things are well and good, but there is a grave danger here. Let me explain. So even though we have good wind and solar resources, there are ways two ways where you can use the natural resource. One is resource exploitation. So economic efficiency profess resource exploitation. This is one route for the use of renewable energy. There will be supplier countries and industrialized countries, and who will definitely jump at the poor country's resources and exploit it for their economic gain. So resource exploitation produces economic booms. Couple of examples here. So the Spanish Empire amassing gold and silver from the newly conquered world in the 16th century, and guano boom in Peru in the mid 19th century. Manure making out of bird droppings, and rubber boom in Brazil, and gold rush in California and Alaska. All these things are economic booms, boom and bust cycles, and actually the people who are around these resources, they didn't benefit much. And there are some commonalities in these resource exploitation rules. It will make few, mostly foreigners or their operators, very affluent. There will be very rich people, less number of people becoming very rich, and making conditions much worse for the communities which live closer to the resource site. And these economic booms have failed to bring sustained economic growth to these countries, and most of them are still in deep trouble even after the discovery of these resources, and disrupted normal behavior in the societies. The Middle East is a classic example where there is no democracy, but there is economic development. So fomenting unrealistic expectations, inspiring envy, causing large-scale degradation in living standards for the people, eroding value systems embedded in such societies. And the Nigerian oil industry is a classic example. They have the massive oil resource in their country, but their country is doomed. So that can happen if we select the resource exploitation route. So this can be very familiar to most of us who are living in the third. On the other hand, there is the favorable route, which I term as resource development. Real economic growth has always been very closely associated with the development of human capital of the country. So as a culture, as a civilization, we have to be part of the revolution if we are to benefit. Focused attention to develop human resources to undertake complex and difficult tasks is the key here. So without our participation, our meaningful participation, it becomes resource exploitation, not development. And countries with vast natural resources but very limited human resources tend to be quite vulnerable to these external factors. So it's very important to demarcate the difference between the resource exploitation and resource development. So let me cite here. The resource exploitation is process of applying external knowledge, experience, and investment to utilize a natural resource of a country, mostly in raw material form. Our tea industry, our rubber industry, they are classic examples of this. People are minting money using our Ceylon tea brand elsewhere, but we just can't even look after our labor force in our estate line rooms. They are living in the same difficult living conditions 2 centuries later. And on the other front, the benign one, the resource development, is the process of developing own knowledge, expertise, and capability to utilize natural resources. It becomes our industry. So that is the reason I'm here. I'm trying to get to attention. We have to win this battle to make our country a better place. So what can we do? Renewable energy development front, the power electronic sites, energy storage, turbines and panels, electrolyzers, fuel cells. These are some of the select technologies I think we Sri Lankans can meaningfully participate. In the energy efficiency front, the demand response, the electronic gadgets, the software platforms, all that, the controllers, smart meters, Internet of Things, and software platforms. We are very good at developing software for the rest of the world, I'm told. So we just can take our educated the person, educated masses to take part in these things. So our resource development effort can be truly meaningful. So from two sides, local value addition, electricity market, smart grid, aggregation, and green hydrogen. These are the kind of dreams I have for our country. So let me pinpoint what get going a step further. What this means, it's a complicated diagram. Don't get put off by this. So we have ongoing programs in the country. I have outlined these things. So these are all renewable energy development things and the energy efficiency. I'm only referring to sustainable energy aspects of the energy industry. So building energy efficiency improvement, efficient appliances, energy reporting, demand response on one side, and solar parks of various size, the rooftop program on one side, and large scale solar wind development also taking place. So every one of these opportunities, they provide us economic opportunities for meaningful participation. So I have put everything into perspective. This purple colored patch we have here is what things we can do. We can do structures for solar, ground mounted solar, inverters and panels, energy storage, balance of systems, building management systems like that, the power electronics, all these things can make Sri Lanka participate in these activities. Without just becoming importers and users, we can make these things here. And at the core, we have the capabilities of engineering and design, software platforms, electricity markets, and market aggregation. So this is part of the equation. But if you take a step further, hydrogen milling, just like in Germany, can begin a complete new energy vector to the country. The excess renewable energy for hydrogen generation can develop actually an industry larger than the fossil fuel industry in the country. So fossil fuel industry is worth about $5 billion US. Hydrogen, if we can really think about these things, it can become one of the main components of our national economy. Because we have the resources, because we have the capability, we definitely can become a hydrogen fueled nation. So this the most important slide in my presentation. Just take a good look at this. These are the dreams, the stuff the dreams are made of. So whether this is possible, my flight number is DT480. So some of my colleagues joke with me, it's a flight of fantasy, but I tend to disagree. I will tell you the story of Morocco. I might take a couple of minutes here. I am 5 minutes past my due 40 minutes, but please bear with me. This is so very important. Whether this is possible, whether I'm just babbling about which impossible dream or not, just take a close look at this beautiful country, Morocco. So they have a beautiful and very abstract flag. I just wanted to show it to you. So it's a very old human habitat. It's inhabited for the last 90,000 years, I'm told. And most of our Islamic friends in Sri Lanka are descendants of Moroccan seafarers. You might have not known this, but they are from Morocco, according to my Islamic friends. And it has 37 million population and a vast land of 410,000 square kilometers. It's the fifth largest African economy of 120 billion US, and exports 44 billion US. And per capita GDP 3,000 plus, and the literacy rates, male 78% and female 58.7%. And let's compare this with the Sri Lankan values. We have population of 22 million, they have 37. We have 65,000 square kilometers, they have 400. And our economy is 80 billion, they are 620. But the remarkable contrast here is their exports are 44, our exports are 12.8. And our GDP per capita is slightly higher than the 3,600. And our literacy rate remarkably higher than them, 92%. So this is the way we should compare these two countries. Otherwise, similar in many aspects. So it is a constitutional monarchy, meaning they have a king and a palace to take charge of the country. And people who are not familiar with Africa, Morocco is located here, northwestern part of Africa. It's an African nation, even though it's very much closer to Europe. And the Gibraltar, the Strait of Gibraltar, they are faced with, from the southern side, the country they are in the Gibraltar Strait is the Morocco. And they have a port named as Tangier or Tangermet. So let us discuss this thing. So this is the industrial port complex they have built. They have built an industrial port complex. They are in the Tangier town, and they have a vision to use this port to serve all these markets. It's a massive operation, and whether they have become successful, only time will tell, but let me continue their story. Can that kind of a small nation become a car making hub? Most of you will say definitely no, because it's a very competitive market. It's impossible to penetrate the car making industry, but they have done the impossible. Just let me show you how they have done. I have referred these two articles, very interesting reads. Just make note of it. One from Financial Times and the other one from the African Report. These are very interesting developments. So this is the car making taking place in Morocco, but they have done. So they have been not a manufacturing nation of any repute. They have not known for manufacturing of anything for that matter. And they have been purchasing about 160,000 cars annually. They have been a net consumer of cars, not an exporter. But in 2019, they have exported 400,000 cars, earning $10 billion US. So this is the magic. And they have created 220,000 employment opportunities in 250 suppliers dotted around the country. And out of these 250 suppliers, 1/3 of them are wholly Moroccan. The balance 2/3 are the principals are foreign, but they are employing Moroccan people, creating Moroccan jobs, and they are deeply rooted in the Moroccan society. So they have not become a consumer of automobiles, but they have become a participant of the automobile industry, the global automobile industry. And how they have done it, they have a clear-cut advantage. The first one is their lower labor cost, which is one-fourth of a European nation, Spain, couple of miles away. And state is very supportive, but also demanding at the same time. They don't give concessions to investors. This is the number one place where Sri Lanka had gone wrong. We give tax concessions, we give investment concession, very many things, but we tend to attract the most unholy type of investors to our country. But they have offered good infrastructure and single window contact, and there are many other pluses like the free trade agreement with Europe. These are the ingredients of their success. But the bottom line is they have stipulated all their automobile industry components will have to have a 60% local content. So this is the magic which have taken the country to the next level. So they have insisted you can make cars in Morocco, but 60% of your value must come from a local source. So major part suppliers like Nippon, so everyone has taken root in their land, because they have to, if they are to gain an access to the European markets they are serving, they have to have 60% value addition. So they have just done that. And they have not done this overnight. They have started with low value component manufacturing and progressed to higher value assemblies, but still powertrain and other major assemblies are done elsewhere. They are not yet there, but see the remarkable impact. 220,000 jobs is not a joke. So that is what attracted my attention. And the magic formula, the most important thing than the local value addition thing, is the policy consistency. They have set concrete goals, a dedicated bureaucracy, and election after election, their policies don't change. The palace is holding reins. No, so election related 180-degree turn of policy is not happening in Morocco. So that is a major plus for their economy. So the key is to provide state oversight with rigorous private sector competition. So they have provided the arena for people to take part, a strong focus on exports and they are exposed to, these people are not subsidized, so they don't get investment subsidies, nothing from the government, but they are participating in the market, but they are given the complete support, the full support from the state side. So if you are not very efficient, you are wiped off the marketplace, and you are exposed, and you just don't allow complacency or inefficiency to take root in those markets. And the next most important thing is they have taken great trouble to train Moroccan staff. So Renault, the automobile manufacturer, they have installed technical colleges and producing about 4,000 graduates every year, I am told, graduates and technical hands who are 100% absorbed by the this new automobile industry in Morocco. And they are into central planning coupled with market dynamics. So they have very detailed plan for every sector of every major sector of their economy. This Heliate is for fishing, Plan Word for agriculture, Plan Azure for tourism. Like that, there are several vertical plans in that country for housing, industry, exports, all that. And these things, they support entire sectors, and they don't target investors, they don't target countries, but they support sectors. So tourism sector, they have a support plan, and that is why it is becoming a major tourist attraction, if not for the COVID pandemic. Like that, they centrally plan and allow the market dynamics to take place. So let us now shift our attention to Sri Lanka, another beautiful country, same level of education, but much better conditions, I must say, whether this is possible. So a lot of you may disagree, but I will show you some examples where we have excelled. These turbines, some of you may not be aware, are made in Sri Lanka, in Talduwa by VS Turbo as company. These people, except the runner, the high engineering component, everything else is runner and the generator. These are made in Sri Lanka and exported to the African continent. So there is a major manufacturing operation going on here. But these photographs are from a Sri Lankan hydropower station. These things are made in Sri Lanka. And Sri Lanka Sustainable Energy Authority got hold of a private sector partner and prove this concept of local manufacturing with wind energy. So this is one of the classic examples where we succeeded. So these are the turbine blade molds, and the blades taken out from the molds, and we have done this, and we were able to manufacture 150 kilowatt wind turbines now in operation in Balanguda. So these are the nacelle, the broken blade, they are fair share of trouble doing this, and finally the finished product on a hilltop in Wikilia in Balanguda. So we were able to do these things. We had so much trouble doing these things, but we succeeded, and these plants are now in operation. And the person who spearheaded this unthinkable task is Mr. Russell De Silva, the darker gentleman here, assisted by Mr. Megard, the father of wind energy, the global wind energy drive from the Netherlands. So we collaborated with them to transfer technology, and we were able to do this locally. So we have courage and we have determination. And happening now, this is from Mr. Pasidu Pallavala's setup, Stotera of UK, but they have established a battery manufacturing plant in Velisara. Lion is the brand name. So we have just commissioned this solar storage system in our Induranoya hydropower storage, hydropower center of excellence, solar with battery. So this is made in Sri Lanka. This is happening now, right now. And the central blob, the blue colored blob in my diagram, you remember that, engineering and design, software platforms, electricity markets, and market aggregation. These are the things we can profitably do in our country. Electronics, turbine blades, controllers, inverters, energy storage, all these things are things which we can do really well in this country. And we can So my proposal to you is we can look beyond the impending gloom. We have to regain policy consistency from government to government. If we are changing our direction, we will be in the dark eternally. And one thing I must say we have at the moment is the political commitment, be it the organic manure, or be it the renewable energy commitment 70%. We have the political leadership, which is the president is really committed to this task and made a lot of enemies by being steadfast in this. But it is one difficult thing to attain in a country, to have the political commitment for a cause. So if we can get inspiration and drive from this commitment, we will have a winning formula. And we can start with small components and light engineering and go the long haul in the time to come. And we can exploit the available infrastructure in the country, the ports, roads, and the ICT, and the literate workforce we have. And close proximity to the largest population block in the world, the Asia, is a plus thing. So I will just show you a brief video, 1 minute. These are not my sponsors, but young engineers who have approved this concept well. This is one CNC equipment manufacturing. These machines are made by a single entrepreneur. His name is Mr. Sahanagirisi. So is the culprit. He alone can do this large-scale CNC machine making all by himself, a product of a local university. So he's just a simple man, no government grant, no donor support, no technical collaborations, but internet, and he alone can do this. Then we have another short video. Please bear with me. A maker of automated guided vehicles, AGVs in our country. So these are serving our industries very profitably. And color guided robot. These things are made by very young, enterprising. These guided vehicles are used by them for transporting goods inside like this. So you can see what is happening in our country at the moment. So he is the culprit in that case, Mr. Wickramasinghe. So there are capable young men and women, of course, who can do these things. Even the older engineers like you and me may not have the steam to go on, but there are young people who are very much more capable than all of us. So these were the kind of mind map we had long years ago, 2007, how the government policy can drive an entire industry to make our country competitive and have increased wealth in our country. So it is possible. That is my proposition to you. And what will be the repercussions, rather results? So we did a simple calculation. This is not economics. This is not mathematics. They are simple engineering sense. If our renewable energy drive, the lower estimate of $7 billion investments happening in the country, and the possible local value additions we have computed and found, we can add about $3.9 billion worth of local value to these efforts and create about 150,000 employment opportunities. But now I hear these numbers are revised, and meaning we can become a renewable energy powerhouse if we feel like it, and if we have the commitment, and if we select the proper development trajectory through the resource development pathway. So that is my message to you tonight. So it is very much doable in my sense. So this is only for the Sri Lankan consumption, but if we gain the engineering know-how and all the things necessary, just think about the export potential of our renewable energy industry. I think the sky is the limit. So we have a port, the industrial port, where we import cars and use it unashamedly at the moment. This is our Hambantota port. And just have a look at the location, the benefit. It can serve this many large number of markets if we really plan it as an industrial port. Coupled with our industrialization drive, we really can serve the whole, I mean, half the world is ours if we have the courage and the determination. So back to where I started, this mango seller. You will never believe he only carries his tools of trade, a knife, the salt and pepper, that kind of things. And he doesn't even own the cart he's selling mangoes on. He borrows that. He borrows 1,000 rupees from a lender early in the morning, then pays for the his mangoes, the cart and everything, and approximately make about 2,500 rupees and rather 4,000 rupees, and pay 2,500 rupees for himself, and return the 1,000 rupee with 500 rupee interest in the night. So that is the daily life cycle of this poor mango seller. And if we work consciously and with determination and courage, I think we can change these simple lives into much meaningful lives in our country. So I think we have an opportunity, and we are open for discussion, even though we have taken a lot of time to, please bear with me. So this is the flight schedule. We have missed so many flights. Independence, we have missed, already departed. Open economy, departed. And .com boom, we have missed the flight. Tsunami, we had an opportunity, we have missed the flight. End of war in 2009, we have missed the flight. And in 2015, we had the Yahapalan flight, and the flight had been hijacked. And the tourism also, thanks to Easter bombings and the pandemic, we have missed the flight. And the strength given to the president and the new government, overwhelming majority, the gate is closing. I don't know whether they will miss the flight or board the flight, but definitely flight to prosperity is now boarding. It's your choice to whether board it or not. Thank you. Thank you very much for your attention. Over to you, Rasika.
Thank you very much, Harsha, for the wonderful eye-opener presentation. Now, forum is open for the Q&A session.
If you raise hand, I can definitely get a chance to allow you to speak. Have we come full circle? Mr. Wickramasinghe is asking, have we come full circle now with the small DC systems at point of use becoming the better solution for providing reliable and affordable power? We are not yet there, in my opinion, but the days within 1 year or even a shorter period of time, I think we will go there. Our experiment at Induranoya Hydropower Center definitely will tell us whether it is the thing we can do. Then another question from Mr. Jaisinghe. Each home should also have an EV which is also to the ESS mainly. Yes, certainly we do agree. And again, Mr. Wickramasinghe, how should Sri Lanka avoid exploitation of our own renewable energy sources on the guise of foreign direct investment and having to pay dollars to our sunlight and wind? That is the $1,000,000 question, Mr. Jaisinghe. That is why I intended to conduct this presentation and eye-opener, because we have to get together and fight this to the betterment of our future. And Mr. Nimal Pereira, I suppose, is asking, what will be the place of mass and logistics transport in the country? According to you, this country is going to increase the individual mode of transport, cars. Also, what will be the energy source of agriculture sector, the nation's food supply sector? So, as I have told you, the all the energy sector, all the energy supplies will be predominantly electricity in the future. We will not be there, of course, in that when that happens, but fossil fuel vector will be taken out of our society and our economy, I'm quite sure. And our logistical, the export industry, I'm sure, will be concentrated in the Hambantota development area. That is the foreseeable thing I can think about for the moment. So Mr. Jaisinghe is raising hand. I will allow him to talk. Mr. Jaisinghe, the floor is yours. You can speak up now.
Thank you very much, Harsha. Thank you very much for most visionary presentation. And I would like to say you have a ardent supporter of all what you have said. Only I wish that it will happen in my lifetime, which is not very long. But still, I think a lot could happen in this decade. So the point I want to make is just before joining your session, there was another session being conducted by the Smart Energy Council where the DGM CEB was making a presentation. Unfortunately, the title of the presentation says, "Is CEB discouraging solar energy?" I thought that was entirely a wrong question to ask. It should have been say, how can CEB encourage solar energy? Because that I would have thought was their mandate. Now, this is where the problem is in reaching your goals that we are saying. We have got the wrong end of the stick. So, but again, on the other hand, the numbers that were presented by him as what we require to do in 2030 was much higher. So that should have been taken as more of a challenge than asking that negative question. What is your view on that one? That's what I want to ask Harsha.
Yes, you can view it from any perspective, but we have a solution. We have an opportunity. It's an entirely local market. We don't have to be competitive in the export industry to do anything. We have $10 billion worth of investments waiting to happen, and we can. The Sri Lankans can definitely supply $4 billion worth of that amount. Definitely, we can do it. But only thing, we need the support of the government, like in Moroccan case, where local value addition must be made mandatory. Otherwise, it will be a lost opportunity. So that is what. And Dr. Samaravira, I think, is commending me. As you know, you are always telling 100 Sri Lankan owned products. So you are right. We have been working together for such a long time. You know my sentiments. So we have to do it. Others have done it the same way. And incidentally, Mr. Ajita Lis is also in the forum. I think he always tells me the German wind energy program, the global powerhouse of wind energy today, they started with the 100 megawatt wind program. Actually, 50 megawatt government support program is the thing which gave birth to the German wind industry. Wind industry was not found on German soil, but the adjoining Netherlands. But Germany benefited because they had the courage to support the local industry and make it a global powerhouse. So that is the way things are happening elsewhere. I frankly believe we too can do it. So national policy consistency is the key, as Nimal has mentioned here. If we can keep the policies without changing it abruptly, we fortunately had a spell of good policy consistency from 2005 to 2015. That 10 years for renewable energy development was a major, why we are here today is because of the policy consistency offered by that government, even under the difficult circumstances of the war situation. So policy didn't change much during that 10 years, so that helped the situation. So Dr. Samaravir is telling me to trust the young generation. I sure do. That is why I showcase two young engineers, what they are doing, absolutely without any government support. So, and thank you, Jamila, for your comments for the presentation. And Mr. Wickramasinghe, I think one of the persons he's pointing out, Sri Lankans do not know the personal finance management. That is why many enterprises fail. I fully agree. And if country do not have a national human development plan with economic plan, definitely the Moroccan case, they had plans and we don't plan for the future. That is number one issue. Network among different people. I think we have to plan and do it by ourselves with second layer in the power who willing to do. Additionally, the wind turbine manufacturing can do with boat manufacturer. They have up to 40-meter molds. Definitely, that is how the global wind industries happened. The people, the Nordic fishing industry, they are the people who supported the blade manufacturing industry in those countries. I am sure. Thank you, Buddhika, for your comments. So those are the things we would like to share with you. And thank you very much for the wonderful words of encouragement. And Rasika, do we have more time for more questions, or can we wind up?
Yeah. Actually, since we have gone much beyond the schedule, I think it's high time to wind up the session. And thank you very much again for the wonderful presentation, Harsha. Now, and audience really appreciate your presence, and thank you very much. Then we'll be meeting up again in another similar fruitful presentation in future shortly. Thank you very much. Good night.